This is the high note.
Hello and welcome to the High Note Podcast. I am your host, Sean Smith. It's been a while. Oh, no more copyrighted music on the High Note anymore. So you just heard a brand new theme song by our good friend Paul Dixon, and he also wrote the outro music as well, because I may or may not, well, I definitely did use a couple of copyrighted songs in the theme music that I created. YouTube wasn't a fan and Spotify wasn't a fan, so no more copyrighted music on the High Note, but it has been a while since I've talked to you guys. Welcome back to the High Note Podcast. Big things besides the intro music, we're moving our days to Tuesdays. So new blogs. The blog has been going on if you only listen to the podcast. While the podcast has been on hiatus, there's been a blog out just about every week on highnoteblog.com. Those are going to be coming out on Tuesdays from now on. And the podcast, I'm hoping, is going to go back to a monthly schedule. Again, it'll come out on Tuesdays. I don't know what Tuesday, but it'll be a Tuesday in the month. But the podcast will probably be monthly. So this podcast is awesome because it has been since the last podcast in the making, because I met up with Ken Shiles and Sabone at the Philadelphia Folk Festival last year, which was when I last left you guys. It's been months. I've missed you. I mean it. And we were talking about doing a podcast there, and it didn't work out. And then we've been talking since. They've been working on this new EP called Off the Ship, which is going to be released on February 21st. So Ken and Sabone have played all throughout South Jersey, and then they started this new band a few years ago, Originaire, with a violin player, Valerie Vitolo. Nope, there's no T in there. It's Volo. We'll just call her Valerie. How about that? Volo. Vuollo is Valerie's last name. She's not on the podcast, but she is the third member of Originaire. And these guys are great. They're a great band. Like I said, they played at the Philadelphia Folk Festival. They've been playing all throughout South Jersey, Cape May, and beyond. They've been to Nashville. They've been all over. So this new EP, which is coming out on February 21st, Off the Ship, you can get it on Spotify. You can get it on Apple Music, anywhere that you do your music things. They're going to be doing a couple of shows coming up. So you're going to get this the week of the show that's going to be on Friday, February 14th, which is Valentine's Day, 6 p.m. at the Rockwood Music Hall, and 8 p.m. for So Far Sounds, both in New York City. That's on February 14th. And then Originaire has a EP release show at the Philadelphia Folk Song Society, which is awesome, in Philadelphia. I believe it's on Ridge Avenue. So that's going to be 8 p.m. on February 28th, which is a Friday. And that's also going to be with Jackson Pines and Jay Solomon, which are great folk singer-songwriter bands that I think you'll really like. So to get all of the information about Originaire, you can just go to your Spotify or wherever you do your music and type in Originaire. You can go to originairemusic.com or just search for Originaire Music wherever you get your social media. And that's it for me, everybody. I really appreciate you listening. We're going to be a little bit more consistent this time, I promise. We got music that'll get us back on YouTube. Thanks again to Paul Dixon. Stick around for the end. I'm gonna play the entire outro music for this episode, and then I'll cut it down in future episodes. But it was really nice of Paul to throw together a couple of tracks for us. And that's it, everybody. I really hope you enjoy this awesome interview that I had with Ken Shiles and Sabone at the world-famous Ventnor Coffee Shop. Thanks a lot, everybody. Enjoy it. Originaire, welcome to the High Note Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
So we have Ken Shiles and Sabone.
Yep.
Awesome. So we're here at the world famous Ventnor Coffee, right? Which I think you guys have played here before, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it fair to say that you got your start here?
One of the open mics, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
wow, and we met Brad here.
Yeah, when Brad was like 14.
Yeah, we have a bass player, and he's incredible. He was literally
14 at the time, and we were like 25. And
Wow.
yeah, that's crazy. I forgot about that.
He's an adult now.
He's an adult.
Much,
He is an
right?
adult.
He can drive.
No,
He's
he's over 18 now.
Oh my god.
It's weird.
It's crazy. So how long? So let's back up. Originaire, you're a folk trio, but there's only two of you here right now. I'm not the third.
So when we started out, it was just a duo. I had met Sabone on a gig, or I had met Sabone through her mother, and then I just hit her up to come play a gig with me without ever actually meeting her. And
So wait. So you met her through her mother, right?
Yeah.
You want to give your mom a shout out? What's
Yeah,
your mom?
Jerry.
Jerry.
Gory.
Jerry. All right. So
Also world famous.
yes, I call her mom, and she hates when I just call her mom.
She's like, I have a name.
So Jerry was obviously like singing your praises, saying that you're incredible.
Yeah, she's like, you need to meet my daughter. And
Well, she hit me up for a gig, a house concert, and I was playing, like, I was writing music, and I did a concert at Harrah's with her and Sabone, but we didn't really meet. And then she asked me to come play this house concert with her. So I played it, and then afterwards she was like, yeah, you really got to meet my daughter. She's got a great voice. And then, I don't know.
time went by.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, because everybody
Everybody always has somebody that they know that they need to meet.
Sure.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you need so and so.
And then I hit her up on Facebook. I said, hey, your mom.
You had gotten a call for a gig.
Yeah.
Specifically, like he needed to put a duo together.
Oh,
quick.
like
so you
in like
needed
2
to-
days.
Okay.
And because my booking manager at the time, he was like, yeah, can you put together a duo for this weekend? I'm like, yeah, whatever, probably. Yeah, just book it and I'll figure it.
out.
And like that's how I was. I'll just book it and I'll figure it out. And then so I messaged her on Facebook. I said, hey, you don't know me. Your mom like said to reach out to you, and I'm like, just come pretend you know how to sing, and like the rest is kind of all history.
And so
We gotta find that message.
I know.
Did you actually say that?
I'm pretty sure I said I just need a body there.
I don't think you said know how to sing. I think it was more like
Just like
I'm trying to remember exactly what you said because it was something to that effect, but it was like
not as rude.
yeah, not as rude because we never worked together.
right now you
It's
know
like
each other.
Jake-
You
We
can
didn't
be a
even
little
know each
rude
other.
I
now.
don't even know what kind of music he played. He sent me a list. It was like a ton of Dave Matthews and Bob Marley. And I was like, I'm familiar enough.
I think I remember that Ken Shiles.
Yeah,
Like,
it's crazy. I know. It's so weird.
So you show up at this gig.
We got together one day for like an hour.
No,
just
no.
to go over the list.
Are you sure? Because I feel like that was after the first gig.
It may have been after.
I think it was after the
When
first
we
gig.
sat and
Yeah.
sung Here Tonight for the first time.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was after the first gig because I think we didn't have time. And then I think we were like, oh, wow, this is going to work.
Do you remember the drive up in your red truck?
Yeah. And
He had this like really
Chevy S10, this old beat up Chevy
tiny
S10.
little- up to Asbury.
Yeah.
Wow.
And, yeah, it just worked out too well. And
So
here we are.
so here you are. So you just show up, play a gig. Did it go well? I guess
yeah,
it like
that's how we kind of like
We figured out that day like that we could sing together
very well.
because
And
we had never rehearsed. We had never like
Do you just harmonize? Like, how does that? You just
Yeah,
jump
so,
in.
like,
She
Yeah,
can
just
sing
jump-
literally anything, and it's really annoying. Because, no, because like I can't sing anything, and I can't sing with anybody, and like I have to like I can't. I'm not good at singing songs on the fly, but like if she's got a stupid good voice, and it just like literally she sings harmonies on
We
anything.
sung. Did we sing Hallelujah?
Well, yeah, that was
day?
the
We
song.
Oh,
sung-
wow.
Yeah, and
Did you make an old lady cry, and that was like the moment?
Probably.
I mean,
People were like, so the funny part about this gig is that it was in a like an outlet shopping mall.
Okay.
Like one of those outdoor ones, and we were like.
It's
the
an
middle.
awful gig.
It's I don't think I would ever do it.
No.
No, but you gotta pay your dues.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but we're in the middle of like this little center, and people are like walking by. I mean, we did get great tips though.
But like you're playing at a mall.
Yeah,
You're
for
like-
sure.
There's a playground in front
like
of us.
literally right in front of you. There's
And-
kids running around.
Behind you is like the food court, and like I don't know, it's just a weird gig.
Yeah.
Glad we don't have to do that anymore.
Me too. Very grateful.
But you made the most of it and made a band out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then things just got that summer was like that was in August, and I was doing a lot of gigs like around the shore. Summer's crazy for us, and then that summer like I was bringing her on solo gigs and taking like less money because I remembered like I want to try to get a bunch more gigs with her, and B, like I hate singing by myself, so
It was a win-win for
yeah, it was just easier and like
And I had just gotten sober.
Yeah.
So like I wasn't working. I was like living in a sober house. So like making any money was like great to me. And I got
Absolutely.
to do what I love. So it was like win-win. Everybody gets to win here.
yeah.
Yeah, and you got to channel that energy into
Right.
something, right?
Yeah.
So, new
Yeah.
exciting projects.
Yeah, it was like everything happened the way it was supposed to. Like when I moved down to this area, like he happened to need a duo put together, and here we are, 4 years later.
Is it 4 years now? I've lost.
This August it'll be 5. This next upcoming August it will be 5. Our 5th year that we've known each other.
That's wild.
It's crazy.
That's amazing. So, where are you from originally, Spoon?
I grew up in Camden County,
Okay.
Collinswood. I lived in Philly for a bunch of years, and then like my family made its way out to Burlington County, to Chemung near like
Yeah.
Medford. So like I went to high school in Cherry Hill, so I grew up kind of more that way, and I always came down here in the summers. My grandmom would bring me down to Ocean City every summer. So
Nice.
like and my parents played in Atlantic City, so I have all these like memories and like kind of like these gently left roots here, and then I moved down, and I can't imagine not living at the beach now.
Wow, that's great. Yeah, I love it. I swear I'll never leave this island.
Yeah. Unless it's for another island.
Yeah, I'm going to get swept away in a hurricane.
I know. I'm
think.
sad. I'm trying to move off the island.
But you'll be close enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, it happens to
No,
everybody
you're right.
eventually.
I want more space. I do want like a little more space.
Sure. Yeah. Little bigger house,
Adult
maybe a yard.
stuff.
Yeah, right? Adult stuff's tough.
Yeah.
Like a garden. I want a nice garden.
I just want that studio.
Garden
Yeah.
would be nice.
Yeah,
Studio
like-
would be the dream,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't have a basement on the island.
No. I'm trying to move like right offshore, and
Oh, yeah.
we're like buying a house, and there's a detached garage that has a furnished like apartment upstairs. So it's gonna be definitely a music.
So this is a
studio.
Oh,
good
it's
time
amazing.
to segue into like we're buying a house, not us.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
not buying a house.
Just so the
Oh,
listeners
yes.
know.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you
That's
guys
like
are not.
an age-old question. I'm
You're
sure
not a
people-
couple.
No, never were.
Nope.
Thank God.
Gotcha. Awesome. Yep. So,
This-
but you are taken. You're both taken.
Yeah.
This is
yeah,
not.
yeah, yeah.
This is
No.
not a dating
We're like
podcast.
We're like one big happy family.
Yeah, we're like brother
all,
and sister. We're,
yeah,
like, we celebrate
we celebrate-
Christmas together, and
all
like,
of our families.
Awesome.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's great.
It's funny because my mom and her mom are roommates.
Yeah, they're running a place right now.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
It's so weird how this is like this whole
Everything
thing
has
is-
tied in together.
Yeah.
So you got when you were performing together as a duo, you were and Ken, you're from around here, right? You grew up.
Not really, kind
Really?
of.
Where?
I've been down here for like 15 years, but I'm from kind of the same area as her.
Really?
Sewell, near Philly.
Okay.
And I moved down here when I was in high school.
Gotcha.
But I've been down. It's long enough now. I'm in.
Yeah.
You know.
Absolutely. I think I met you when you were in high school, so I think or maybe
Probably.
right after, right?
Yeah, right after. Holy shit, it's been a long time.
Yeah, incredible.
Yeah.
We're getting old.
I know.
And
That
at
was a completely different life ago. It's weird to think about.
Same. And at that time, you guys were just Ken Shiles and Sabone, right?
Yeah.
When did you become Originaire? How did this take place?
So we played together for a couple years. We
toured a little bit.
We went down south. We did a tour down to Florida, him and I.
We threw together a small EP.
Because we went and we did a competition at Eddie's Attic
Yeah.
in Decatur, in Atlanta, Georgia.
Wow.
It's like a pretty famous. Didn't John Mayer do it?
Yeah,
Did he
John
win?
Mayer won. Like they have this famous open mic. They call it the Shootout, and like a lot of like up and coming musicians in the area. Like that's like the place you go to down there. And we were on the road, and we scheduled to be able to do it while we were there, and we won for the night, and they asked us to come back.
Amazing.
So we had to come back like a month later, and we were like, we have some of these original songs that like I had written before I met her, and I remember like the first time we did it, I was like teaching her like while we were on the road like certain songs.
We were literally in the hotel before that competition. I was learning the words to the songs.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because like we just started playing together.
Yeah, so how long were you together for at that point, playing together? A few months?
That was May
Yeah,
of that
so it was
year.
like
a couple
9 months.
That's amazing.
And
Yeah, so we flew back down just for that competition, and we like had a little like EP, which we probably should take down off of.
yeah, it's on Spotify
It's
right
really
now, but
old.
it's
That's not the one with Irish Goodbye. That's
No.
no, this
Okay.
is under our old name.
Oh,
which is
okay.
before we became Originaire. It was
Okay.
Ken Shiles and Sabone. And
So then we played like what, another year, and then
yeah, we were
met
doing a
Val?
summer here where like we were like in the summer we do all the cover gigs, and you got to pay the bills, and
It's a hustle.
It's a hustle around here, and so everybody started to know us as Ken Shiles and Sabone, and then
We met Val.
we met Val at the Singer Songwriter Festival in Cape May that happens every March,
I think
and
March,
it was funny because I played 2 nights. She could only do 1 night, and Sabone and I played the first night, and then I was playing a solo set the second night of the festival, and Val was playing with, I think, Audrey Snow.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, hey, like, you don't know me. Like, you want to come sit in on my set? Like, what you did was awesome. And she sat in on a song with, this guy, Cliff Hills, I think is.
I wasn't there. I don't know.
And I was like, hey, come sit in with me. And she sat in with me, and it was awesome. And
We tried to like convince. We like it took a little bit of.
yeah, the rest of that summer, like,
We were like, come
we were
play
trying
with
to
us.
to
Like,
work out a gig where we could get her
yeah.
on, and
She plays violin.
yeah, she
Yes.
plays violin, and it finally worked out at the end of this summer,
Mm-hmm.
and we started to play some more gigs together, and then we were like, let's make this like a thing.
So when she came into the fold for the original stuff, we could no longer just be Ken Shiles and Sabone.
Because then we
Sure,
were Ken
yeah.
Shiles and Sabone with a violin player,
Right.
and like
Violin player named Val.
yeah, and it got really annoying to like be like, we're the Ken Shiles and Sabone trio, and
we also wanted to separate, like when we do cover gigs now, we still go by Ken Shiles and Sabone because we kind of want to keep our original project separate from like what we might be marketed as for, the casinos. or,
Gotcha.
like to kind of separate those 2 projects.
Yep, that makes sense.
Yeah.
it was a learning.
good-
It was
yeah.
a learning curve.
I still have videos like I took of Ken and I that night. We like did a whole new website. Like we were changing our name, like this big announcement, and we were literally like having a mental break. Like, is this the right decision? Or like, what if we hate this name a month from now? Because it's such a like definitive thing. Like when
Yeah.
you make a band name, it's like
Buy
that's,
the
you're
domain.
getting married.
Yeah.
that's it. You buy the domain, and that's it. And you're married to that name. So, yeah.
How did you come up with it?
It is the French word for native.
Okay.
And,
Yeah, both of I have more than 50% Cherokee Native American roots, and
Amazing.
he has Native American in him too.
and we're both French, and it was just kind of her and I have a lot of really weird coincidences,
similarities. Yeah.
and like where we were like almost separated at birth.
Yeah, you would think.
Yeah.
In a weird way,
Right.
and that was like one of the other things, and I don't know how that came up.
A friend of ours.
I do.
Yeah.
A friend of ours.
Shout out to Eric.
Yeah. But he called it the Originaires, and in the beginning, and we were like, no, absolutely not. I hate that. And so we just became Originaire, and that's
awesome.
that was the start of it.
It's a great name.
Thanks.
I really like it.
Yeah, I can't imagine having any other
Nope.
name. That's so funny.
So how long have you guys been Originaire now?
2 years? Is it 2 years?
It was 2017.
Yeah, 2 years. Going on 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it'll
And
be
that-
3 in like September. Because I think September, October, we made it official. And then we
It
went
was
to
right
Nashville.
before we went to Nashville, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's great. And so you guys tour and you put together an EP then?
No.
Or was that-
So we recorded a bunch of music, but we were kind of like figuring things out, what we exactly wanted to do. And we have a ton of recordings that we didn't know what to do. Like we were
trying to find our way through arranging now, because we have a third player, violin. Like, we're learning what our recording process is. So we would go into the studio, and we're so used to having these intimate situations where Ken and I sing together, and we would record together. We would record guitar and vocals together, and then, we'd go back. Val, she is also an engineer, so she was engineering all of our recording.
Oh, wow.
And so, like, we had to learn what was working for us and what wasn't, and, like, we would record together, and then we'd come to find out, like, it's not the best way to do it, because if you have to edit anything, you can't.
Oh, 'cause sure.
This goes back to me not being a great singer, and to where, like, a lot of times when her and I sing together,
He's more comfortable, yeah.
like
Okay.
in the recording process, like you have to track everything individually.
But now I don't believe that to be true.
No, I've gotten better with
Yeah?
it.
So-
But it's been a learning curve.
So instead of, do you sing in a booth or do you guys
yeah,
sing live?
and
Like,
no, we used to.
We used to sing live in the same room together.
Okay.
Would you record guitar first, though?
Yeah, I'd record guitar first.
And then we'd go in and sing our vocals together on our own mics, facing each
In
other.
the same room.
But in the same room.
Gotcha.
And so, like, sometimes we'll end up still doing that for a song. I think
No.
Off the Ship. No.
No.
Never mind.
We were in separate booths. We'll
Yeah.
never do that again.
Yeah.
Unless it's like some sort of cool live recording we do where it's like, everybody's in the room recording and then
Sure.
But it took me a long time to be able to hear her part in my head
While you're
I'm
singing.
singing.
Yeah.
And that was a big learning curve for me.
Yeah.
It's still, I've been working on it, but it's gotten a lot easier because it's like with anything, the more you do it, the easier it becomes. And
Yeah. And how does this process work when you're writing these songs? Like, so you're playing guitar and then writing. You said there were some songs you had written before you'd started performing with Sabone. So
a lot of them.
Okay.
A lot of them are older. Like,
Yeah, there was a lot of them that were like the one song on this Driftwood on the upcoming EP was the first song I ever wrote.
Okay.
I wrote it when I was 15 years old. And,
Wow.
And it's just coming back around because
15 years old.
17 years old now.
Oh yeah, I'm thinking 30. 'cause
No,
I'm
I was
30.
15, but it's 17 years ago I wrote it.
That's amazing.
And
Have you always been kicking this thing around?
yeah,
It always makes
It
it
does.
would make its way back.
and we would play it live, and like we
That's one of the long ones.
We
Okay.
arranged
yeah.
it.
Was that the 5-minute or the 7-minute one? The 7-minute one?
Is it? Yeah, it is.
There's no other song that would be longer.
Yeah, it's 7 minutes.
Okay, yeah.
Jeez. Just hearing
Well,
that.
there is a song that has 2 parts, so I don't know if you put the 2 of those
No.
together.
Oh no, no. They're
No.
actually 2 different songs.
Oh, they're 2 different.
They're like,
They're very similar.
we'll tell you the story about that after
Yes.
we cover Driftwood. That's a whole other.
Yeah, Driftwood has been around forever, and it's my mom's favorite song, and it was.
Oh, that's nice.
Every time she comes to see us, like that's the song she wants to hear, so it's always come back around. And now I love the song. I love how like It's
It evolved.
Yeah, it's completely different from what it was when I was that age, but the meaning behind the song has always kind of remained true. So that's why it's one of those songs that's come back up, and I don't know, I love it.
That's awesome. Yeah, so we'll dive right into the EP then.
Yeah.
Talking about that. So, is there a track listing for the EP? What does
Yeah.
it start off with?
Off the Ship, which is the
name of the EP, right?
Yeah, that's it.
which is another song that's like come back up.
Yeah, we actually, Ken and I recorded this when we threw together that little EP
In a different key and
in a different key without violin. It's different.
yeah,
It's
everything
different.
was different.
This is kind of like the fan favorite. This
Okay.
one.
This has always been the
Yeah,
one that like,
everybody's always like, play Off the Ship.
Nice.
My mom.
No, and it's funny because like we released the two singles before. We had like Irish Goodbye and then 716, which were new songs, and then we knew like Off the Ship was a song that we had to release as Originaire because it was like the it's probably my favorite song that we have, at least one of them.
We have so many now.
I know.
That's great. That's a good
No, I
problem
used
to
to
have,
hate.
right?
Like it's funny because I used to be so critical of like my own music and like what we're like. It's hard to like separate yourself and like look at your songs and like objectively and be like, no, you know what? That's a great song and like I really like it and it's yeah.
It's complete.
Yeah.
That's my problem. I never like put a nail in it and
Okay.
like this is the song. Nothing should be changed. I'm always, which is awful. Do you do that too?
Yeah.
Like whenever like we play a song, I'm like, well, maybe if we did it like this, or if we did it like this, it would be better.
Does recording it and putting it on an EP change the process at all? Where you're just like, well, now I have to play the album version, or are
No.
you still trying to tweak
No,
it live?
We still change things after.
Because like unfortunately, and fortunately, like a lot of the recordings we did, like not recently, but like when we first met Val, like we were writing and recording, like going right from writing and recording. So we didn't have the chance to play it out. We didn't have the chance to really like play it until we like figured out how it went.
Yeah.
So like we were recording and then figuring out, maybe it's too long, or like maybe we could just like do this here.
Maybe we should add banjo to it.
Yeah.
So so how does that?
Yeah, exactly.
How does that? So Ken, you write a song like Driftwood or like Off the Ship, right? So do you write it and then bring it to Sabone to
a lot of
to
times
pick up on the harmonies?
So those were already written. So I just had to write harmony.
Okay, got it.
Which is like kind of my
And is it
thing
just
that I love to do.
Are you just singing it, or are you singing playing guitar to
I
Sabone?
sit and play a guitar and
you're like, here's this.
yeah.
Song.
I a lot of times like I go through these like semi-manic episodes where
well,
like
this is the new
I-
writing process.
where,
He's talking
like-
about the songs that are already written.
yeah.
We have this like new thing going.
Where I'll send her voice memos of like these like
Here,
really like
listen to this.
like melodies and like
yeah. And
that's perfect.
It's
right?
great. I get so excited.
but with Off the Ship, it was like it was when I don't know how I wrote it. When I remember how I wrote it, I actually wrote it across the street from where we're at now. My mom was living in this apartment, literally right there.
Okay.
And it was when I came home from a halfway house. I was on pass. I was out for 48 hours, and I was sitting in her porch, like behind it. There's like a picnic table there, and I wrote it, and like that song's always stayed the same. We changed the key of it, but so that song was like done and we haven't really changed it. We just changed the key. We added a violin part, and then we added a banjo.
And when you do things like change the key, is it because you're like, well, I think it would sound a little bit better up here, like it'll hit my
Do
voice
we put
better?
it higher or do we do it lower? It used to be
Lower.
on 5,
It
right?
used to be on 4.
4, and now it's on 3.
Yeah. It's just our
I think-
voices changed.
And also, I think we heard the way it sounded on that EP, and then we were like, well,
I'm gonna do it
I
different.
want to do it different. Yeah.
Okay. That's cool.
Yeah, because like we both quit smoking too, so
Yeah.
like my voice has naturally changed, and like the way I used to sing songs like is definitely not the same, and
Yeah.
It's just our voice together has changed, and we've like learned how to like navigate that. So like with that, like it's like with anything, like songs are.
Yeah, it's just different. It's not like
Yeah.
good or bad. It's just like, yeah.
Yeah,
It's just a process of evolution.
I don't know.
right?
Maybe also like changing the key, like
made it fresh.
it's different.
Yeah.
No, like just like the feel of it's different.
True.
Totally will change a vibe, right? The whole key. I like how when you pointed across the street, now there's a couple cops
That's
over there.
literally where my car is. So I was just,
Oh, good. I think they'll be.
it's
They'll
gonna be
take.
fine.
Yeah, yeah. They'll
They're not
keep it
towing my
safe.
car, right?
No.
probably
Okay.
not.
I don't think they would bring 2 cops to tow your car.
So yeah, those songs, like the older songs, I just kind of added my thing to it.
That's
it didn't
awesome.
need much, yeah.
And then how does Val come in on this track? Or we'll just start with Off the Ship. Like, how does she come in with that?
We played all these songs live, and we were playing them live a lot, and they kind of came
Organically.
Yeah, organically, just on the fly, and parts just stuck, and that's always been our best. Like, was our best method was just.
Still, it's like for cover gigs, even like we'll take requests just because like it keeps it like interesting for us to like learn songs on the fly.
Sure.
So we'll like look up the chords and lyrics, and if I know it well enough, like we'll play it, and then we end up actually playing it how we interpret it.
Yeah, sure.
So it's like our own. So the same thing goes for like original music. I think Val just kind of like the way things like snowballed, she would just come and play, and she would just improv over the song, and like the parts just kind of.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
And then is it
write
up to her
themselves.
to remember what she did?
Kind of, yeah.
Just to go back and listen
And
to
like
it.
we record, like these songs were, we've been doing things differently, but these songs, they were recorded almost a year ago, or they've been around for
Yeah.
a while, so we had some time to really like.
Figure out parts, and she would record all of our stuff first, and then like she'd be mixing and stuff, and then she'd lay down her parts, so she
Awesome.
kind of got to take the whole thing in, and then
And it was rare, like for these, a lot of like the beginning of these songs, like that we were all together in the same room when we were editing and going through. So it was kind of like we were just emailing parts back and forth, like, "Hey, what do you think of this edit?" And then just kind of went from there.
That's cool. Do you ever come up with something and you're like, I think it needs a violin part here,
Yeah.
or like it needs, and you're just like, make it happen.
Yeah, and I'm very, I like. There's been certain times where I'm very stubborn, and like I hear certain things, and I'm not the best at explaining it. So I try to like do my like half-assed explanation and like trying to explain what's coming out in my head, and I'm like, no, but like I hear it this way. And
that's like me trying to explain to you how a song goes by going.
yeah, she makes me strum. She's like, you got to strum it like this, and makes like a strumming like motion. I'm like, that means nothing to me.
Yeah.
But
With
yeah.
Val and I, it's interesting because we kind of work the same way. Like she hears parts the same way I hear parts but I sing it and she plays it on the violin. So we're kind of harmonizing together. So I think she bases a lot of what she plays off of what I eventually harmonize like on the.
Sure.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So it's like we're like singing together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. That's awesome. Yeah.
And like with like the next song, Driftwood, like the whole violin intro.
That song's so dramatic
I
now.
know that, like, I don't even know how he came up with that. She was just playing the part while we were playing it live, and then we were like,
What
"Oh
if
no,
we break that down and
yeah, why don't we put like that? Start the song like that to like really make it dramatic? Because it was a long song to begin with.
Sure.
yeah, we
So-
were like already like
Yeah. What?
We were like,
might
we're
as
not-
well.
Yeah,
We're not
okay.
cutting this one down.
It's not a radio song. We don't expect it to be a radio song, so
Yeah.
let's make it as long as we want. And
That's awesome.
yeah.
That's a great artistic choice. No, I mean, that's perfect because you're just
I
like,
have no qualms
and
about
I
it.
don't want to like I don't want to change it, and like I know like a lot of people say like it's not radio. Like, that's fine.
It has
yeah.
to have its moment.
Yeah.
Let the song have its moment. And,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
and
I
like
think-
live we'll do it different. And
Yeah, we do cut it down live sometimes.
Sure.
Like, because, like, I know, like, sometimes I'll be on stage and we'll be playing. I'll be like, okay. Like, and I'm, like, I'm, like, scanning the crowd. Like, this song is so long. I'm so sorry, but you just have to listen. It's amazing.
It's amazing.
And it's funny because like a lot of the songs that are on this EP specifically happened a certain way during recording, and we kept that original like organic feel of like specific moments in the studio, that like writing these songs and like coming up with that, like
You couldn't you could never do it again.
yeah,
There's
awesome.
literally a song. It's an instrumental song.
the clearing
the-
part,
the
the clearing part two.
two.
The Clearing Part 2.
So
okay.
that was actually done before the Clearing Part 1. That
Okay.
was the OG Clearing.
That
But
was-
it's an
yeah.
instrumental track, so we put it at the end.
We
Okay.
originally named it the clearing.
I listened to that first. I think that was the first one in the
I-
list that you sent
I know,
me.
and I realized I sent you for some reason that was labeled as off the ship.
Okay.
So yeah,
Gotcha.
Anyway,
yes,
so that one, I was living with you, and we were like writing, and you started playing this thing on the guitar, and I fell asleep. It was like this lullaby.
it was this instrumental and like this weird alternate tuning, and
And then when we were in the studio, you tracked it, and then I was like,
it was in the middle of the night because
2:00 in the morning. We've been in the studio just tracking everything that we had, and then, yeah. What
we used to
happened?
sleep over at the studio that we were working at.
Yeah,
'Cause-
Silvertone
yeah.
and Ardmore.
and we would just spend like 15 hours like writing and like just recording. We were doing a lot of live recordings, and so yeah, one night it was like really late. We were done like everything we wanted to do, so I was like, let me just record this. Like,
This idea.
Sure.
so then I recorded the guitar part.
And then I had an idea for for a melody. Like it wasn't actually supposed to be an instrumental track.
No, I just didn't write lyrics for it yet.
So I wanted to go in and track what I was hearing melodically, just so that we could have it for when we would write to it.
Yeah.
And then it just became this. They were messing around with all these different like,
Plugins.
cathedral like.
Plugins from like actual cathedrals. So
Okay.
they would, they go in and they record the reverb at these like Parisian
Famous churches.
famous
and,
churches.
like,
So we put one of these, I forget the name of it, but you can actually, Val, she's like an engineering genius. She was showing us like they go in and they'll record from every little corner in these cathedrals, like
Oh,
how the
cool.
reverb is picked up. So then when you like apply it to a vocal, it literally sounds like you're singing in that cathedral. I
That's
still
amazing.
don't really understand
Yeah.
how they do it.
So are you humming on that
I
track?
was like, yeah,
What
I
do you
was
call
like
that?
oohing and
We call it
eyeing, oohing
It's-
and eyeing.
It's like it reminds me of like the yoga music.
Yeah,
like,
that's
you know,
so
that-
now. So
Right.
like once we realized, once like Val threw a whole bunch of magic on it, like I was like, we can't ever turn this into anything else. Like this is
Sure.
what this has to be.
And I
Yeah.
forgot how to play it. No, I,
So
like, I
it'll
literally-
never it'll
amazing.
never be played again unless you like study it and figure it out.
But we don't want to.
No.
Yeah.
So then we decided
Well,
like
the reason why it was called The Clearing was because we had just recorded another song, which has not been released yet, about a storm. Winter.
oh yeah.
And
oh yeah.
We had a song about like winter coming and a storm and like this water.
Because where we live, I live in Atlantic City right now on the bay. So when we get these crazy nor'easters, like I have
The water rises.
and I have
Yeah.
3 boats, like big sailboats behind my house. So like when we get these like crazy storms like today, it's miserable and raining and flooding. My street floods and the water will rise like almost to my like back door,
Mm-hmm.
and like the
Wow.
boats will be like right like.
At your door.
Yeah, if I look at my window, all of a sudden, like you see like the back of a sailboat, and you're like, oh wow, like the water's getting really high.
So we
Yeah.
recorded this like super dramatic song and you can like feel that in the song, and then we recorded this and it kind of has this like peaceful like like
The
everything's
storm is
the
over.
storm's clearing kind of feel to it. So which is funny because they won't ever be on a
No, and
record
then-
together.
Yeah, so then we called it The Clearing,
Mm-hmm.
and
But then you called it The Clearing Part 2.
Because
because then we wrote The Clearing, the Clearing Part 1, and
So the clearing part 1 has words. It's a similar.
It's in almost
in
the same key, and
It's-
it's a very similar progression, but I wrote it a little bit differently. Like I I didn't want to change the clearing, the instrumental clearing.
Because we had to like leave it, but we also wanted to use the idea, yeah.
for a song. So when I wrote the words and everything, it was just kind of worked out, and then we decided to leave the instrumental song as we just wanted to get it out there because it was too good, and
It's an instrumental, like we can, send it to all of our yogi friends.
Yeah,
and,
it's a great
and
yoga song
meditation.
for sure.
Yeah, that's like the whole point. Is like when you hear that song, you like if I'm in a yoga class and I'm in Shavasana and I hear that,
Yeah.
can you imagine?
Yeah.
Like it's so moving, and
Absolutely.
it's like there's not much to it. So, but also like for us, I think
it's
it's emotional, like, but it also like brings us back to that moment in the studio where it just happened like magic.
Amazing. Like
Yeah.
it seems like a lot of the things that are with your band just kind of happen.
Yeah. Yeah. We couldn't get so lucky.
No.
So the clearing 1 now has a story behind it too, like.
So the clearing 1, like the whole theme, like behind the EP is kind of touching on like addiction and recovery, and so during this time in we were getting ready to go on Nashville on tour, and a friend of mine had overdosed. And he was in a coma, and we didn't know, like,
I mean, literally like 2 days before.
2 days before we were gonna leave, like they were basically saying like, I don't think he's gonna make it.
Oh wow.
And like it was a really heavy time, and well, long story short, and they said if he did come back, like he was gonna have major, like minimal brain function, like he'd never be the same person like that we knew. And he woke up and like he was perfectly fine. Like,
Oh, well, that's amazing.
It was,
Wow, but we had left.
we had, like, we went on the road, and I got the call that like, yo, he's awake and like everything's like gonna be good now, and like he had to go through like to a nursing home for a little bit, but like now he's like fully recovered, and like,
Wow.
so we wrote the clearing 1 about that, and
Well, you wrote it before you knew he was okay.
yeah, and so when we recorded it, things were still, the original recording for that was, things were still up in the air, because I remember.
So we must have been in the studio literally right after it happened, before we went to Nashville.
No, you know what? It was while Rachel was in Peru, because we finished it when we picked her up from the airport.
So it was after we were in Nashville.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you had already written it.
Yeah, and we finally just recorded it, and then it was one of those songs like I still sometimes like hear it and like I want to cry.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
it's one of those songs that you're just like, damn, that's.
Yeah, we were sitting down the other day writing the lyrics out to it.
Yeah.
Like I was like typing all the lyrics to our
Sure.
songs that we hadn't typed out. I was like, wow, this is like still so touching.
Wow.
You know.
And
Now-
like the whole thing, like a lot of the songs on the EP for me are like Driftwood the same way. Like it's like my goal with this is to like kind of make people cry, like when they listen.
We've
to
always said that. He's always said that about
It's
our
just-
music.
It's
In saying that,
I want people to feel something.
Yeah.
Sure.
And like I want like people.
he's not
to,
literally trying to like
no,
be mean.
but like Off the Ship is the most like what's the word I'm looking for? It's an emotional song, but there's hope behind it,
Mhm.
and so it comes off like less heavy and a lot lighter. But the other 3 songs on it, like it's definitely gonna take you through like an emotional roller coaster, and that's the whole goal, is like just to bring up feelings that like. I don't
Yeah,
know.
music is therapeutic. So like if we've gone through all these things and we can't use it, you know, as therapy, not only for ourselves, but to try to like get through to somebody else, and kind of like, what's the point? You
Definitely.
know? Like we
Yeah.
sat down the other day to write a song, and we were trying to write like a cheesy like radio love song, and it was like, ugh, like
Right.
this is so cringy. But like people, I can relate to that too. But I like to go deep.
Yeah.
We
Sure.
like to like really dive into the stuff that like people don't necessarily always want to like deal with.
Yeah. And
I've never been good at writing the love songs. Yeah, for some reason, like it's just like I want to write like heavy, sad songs.
We're like grown-up emo kids.
Yeah, exactly.
that's perfect.
I know. Like I grew up like in high school. Like I had
Yeah.
a nickname, Emo Ken.
I was
I had my
super-
lip pierced on the side,
Yeah.
like long hair, like
I've never heard that.
full
Emo
on,
Ken.
like Taking Back Sunday, brand new.
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
The Postal Service.
Dashboard
like,
Confessional.
Super into Dash.
Like I remember my girlfriend broke up with me in like my sophomore year, and like, do you remember the song by Something Corporate, Constantine?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I still remember the piano part.
Like those
so
songs,
iconic.
it's like 9 minutes long, but it like makes you want to cry.
And you
I-
still
Yeah.
remember every single word.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And the feelings.
Yes.
Exactly. So
and that's what you were trying to capture. is
Right.
Kind
that,
of,
like,
yeah.
You know,
Unintentionally.
right. Well, intentionally,
and-
but not hitting them over the head with
Exactly.
it.
Yeah,
Like, you're not
yes.
trying to, you know.
Yeah, some of
blast
like our,
people.
our other songs, like you'll listen to it and it sounds like kind of up and like, you know, it sounds like it's gonna be a happy song, and then you like look at the lyrics.
Yeah, there's some
There's
deeper
some-
meanings behind some of them.
Yeah.
You're like, oh wow, that's like, all right,
And then we do have a couple fun songs.
yeah. Yeah,
which
we-
will be released.
Yeah, we just got back to writing heavily, and basically like just recently we were recording our.
We just recorded 4 new songs.
Yeah, so
Oh, that's great.
we have
Yeah.
another EP that is in the works right now.
Awesome.
hmm
We don't know when
It's different
Yeah,
than
it's
this.
completely
Yeah.
different. But
It's like,
all the songs were written within like a couple weeks of each other, and they're all kind of a similar feel. But that's down the road.
Nice.
So we'll
That's
see.
great.
yeah.
So why did you, I mean, you mentioned before that the sobriety stuff that you wanted to, talking about sobriety, that you wanted to help other people and that you wanted to get it out there and kind of therapy. But why now? Do you feel like has enough time passed that you want to talk about it, or like, you know, you feel like you've matured enough that you can talk about it in a way that like doesn't sound like stupid or, you know,
Yeah.
immature? You know?
I was
like kind of really.
we were both kind of against it.
I was against it just for the fact of
being labeled.
being labeled, and also like a lot of people kind of use that as like a thing to latch onto and like, oh, like I'm.
What's the hot topic
Yeah.
now?
And it's like it's very sensitive, you know. It's like
Really? I didn't think about that.
yeah.
Wow.
And I didn't like. We're very critical of ourselves, so we don't want to like.
I would have never.
I
thought
don't
about
like
that.
attention.
Right.
So like I will do like, which is very ironic for the business that we're in, but like I'm very careful about like the things I want to draw attention to. So I don't want to seem like I'm being like
And it's not something that
Opportunistic?
right. Exactly. Yeah.
Whether anybody would think that's the last thing we wanted, and so I think we tried so hard to avoid that we just pushed it away for so long in talking about it, and until it felt like the right moment. We never planned on this.
We were on a phone call with somebody, and we were like kind of like unraveling what the EP was about, and then we like came to this realization like, oh, like this is it.
Yeah.
If we don't talk about this, then we're like avoiding it,
Sure.
you know, and we're like doing a disservice.
Yeah, we were actually talking to Justin from Folk Song Society.
Oh, cool.
About the EP, because he was kind of helping us out with some things, and he kind of like, he's like, why don't we talk about that? And then it just kind of
Yeah.
Shout out to Justin Nordell.
Yeah,
Right?
seriously.
He's seen me at my worst at the folk festival. That's for sure. I went up to him on Saturday or Sunday. I think it was after Steve Poltz. I can't remember, but it was one of those. No, I went up to him later on in the night, very end of the
Very
night,
late.
very end of the night, and it was like David Crosby. It was like the very last, and I think I went up to him and I was like, dude, how did you wear that crushed velvet red jacket in the heat today? You're
so
a legend.
epic.
Yeah.
So epic.
And he was just like, thank you, I think. I don't know. We'll see if I get a press pass next year.
Yeah, it kind of just happened. Like you said, all these things just kind of happened. Like if Ken and I probably came up with the idea on our own, we probably wouldn't have done it. Because it's like, you know, you want to be careful. Also, like, like I said, some people, yeah, I don't want to seem opportunistic.
And like, so like getting like brutally honest, like when Sabone and I first met, I was sober for a few years,
Mm-hmm.
and she was sober for like 30 days, and then I started drinking again,
Okay.
and she had to deal with me for like a year and a half of like me drinking while she was like sober, and then then I got sober, and then it just kind of.
Mm-hmm. And also, yeah, that's like another aspect of it. You want to give it time. You know, you don't want to
Yeah.
like come out and be like, oh yeah, like,
Yeah.
I'm like in recovery. It's like only been a
Yeah,
couple
and that,
months.
like we were trying to avoid the label of things, and like we just
Yeah, you get like some people would say like, oh, you're cornering yourself into, but like this is who we are. There's
Yeah,
no like,
yeah.
there's no
absolutely.
avoiding it, and this
Yeah.
is like,
And as we get older, like I'm more open to talking about it. It's not something it's not something I tell everybody, but if somebody wants to talk about it, yeah, sure. Like
Yeah.
let's talk about it.
well, and it's
Right.
become such like a widespread thing that like, you know, like people need to be talking about this. Like,
Yeah.
people need to know that there is hope. Like, you know, there are people, you know, like if I never got sober, like none of this would have happened. You know, like I wouldn't have
Absolutely.
met Ken. Like I wouldn't be able to follow my dreams. You know, like it was not on the table. It wasn't an option.
Yeah.
So, you know, if we can use our music to, I mean, either way, that message is coming through in our music.
Yup.
So whether we talk about it or not, so just being able to like be open about it, maybe we'll give somebody like a little bit of hope.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, Steve Poltz talks about that when I interviewed him at the folk festival.
Mm-hmm.
He talks about how he was like smashing guitars on stage and like, you know, it's just like a total wreck. And now he's sober and he's the most successful he's ever been, you know,
Yeah.
since being sober, like way more successful
Right.
than he was, even writing that song with Jewel, you know, which is crazy.
I know. I just listened to that podcast. And
That's a good one. It's a fun
Yeah.
one. He's got some crazy
yeah.
stories.
Wait, hold on. I wrote something down that he said that made me crack up. He said, "quote It's hard for me to do things unless I really feel like it." And that
Yeah.
was the best
so
quote I've ever read.
relatable.
Oh man, he's so inspirational.
And he's just like brutally honest, and
Yep.
it's cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
he-
caught him a couple times at Folk Fest, and I knew who he was, but I like. There's so many people you know the name, and you just didn't like. You don't.
When you run into them in
Yeah.
person.
yeah.
He's gonna blow up, I think,
Yeah.
because he was just on that jam cruise with like Keller Williams and I think
Oh,
like
wow.
String Cheese or Mo, one of the other jam.
I know. I
bands.
actually I just messaged him because he played in Toto Santos
Okay.
at some festival, and I'm going there, and I was asking about meetings. So
Nice.
it's funny, and like he got right back to me, and like he was super cool, and like, but it's just funny because like he's all over right now.
Yeah.
Uh,
And how is it? So like he talked about it a little bit. How is it for you guys being sober and musicians when a lot of times you're playing in bars in front of drunks at the folk festival where it's like, you know, all sorts of madness.
so I mean, for me,
We're there for a purpose.
Yeah.
Like we're there to do a
we
job.
want people to have fun and like
professionals.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. This is like our job. This is what like so. I used to
We've
like,
done a lot of work to be able to do that, like work on ourselves. You know what I mean? Like early in sobriety, like it was definitely like a little uncomfortable. And then as more time goes by, you know, like if you put that first, then you're able to do all those other things.
Yeah, like I remember a couple gigs playing that like I played a lot of, and like I would always have like a routine of like the drinks that like I would get like when I got to the show, and like when I first got sober again, like they would like
They were trying to like,
Like-
yeah,
oh
sorry, yeah.
like here's you like, and then you had to be like no, and like it took me a little bit to like get to that point, and like I don't know, it's just funny because like you have these routines of how you think.
A lot of people like don't care.
Sure.
Yeah.
They're, like then there are some people that are like you don't drink and it's like no, like, but there are also people that like don't drink that like, you know, just because they don't want to.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
But like, and it's funny because I used to always think like I can be a musician and be a complete mess, and like if I'm
Yeah, this is perfect.
if I
It's the
can,
environment
yeah,
for
like
it.
what do you mean? And like quite the opposite.
Yeah.
Like, it's funny because like my perception of like the job of being a musician, like some of the musicians I know are the hardest working people.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a grind. Like I'm working.
And you can't like be out of your mind and pull
No.
it off
Yeah.
successfully.
It's
It's impossible.
Yeah, it really is. Cause like I wouldn't be able to keep anything straight.
Right.
Yeah.
Unless I had somebody telling me like, be here, be here, be here. But like, no, like,
Yeah.
especially like starting out, like you need to like be,
You have to
be
have your
sharp.
head on straight. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, remembering songs and like, you know.
Just like the business side of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cause it's hard. It's not easy to just like, it's been a learning curve through this whole thing of how to like market ourselves, how to like basically run a small business.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And like for a bunch of like young musicians, I didn't know any of this stuff. I dropped out of high school, like like my senior year, and like I thought I was just gonna like smoke pot and be a touring singer songwriter, and like that delusion was so far off, and like now I have to look at it as like, no, like I need to like run a business, and like my music is my business, and like I have to treat it as such, because if not, like there's thousands and thousands of other people that are there to work harder than you.
Yep.
And like, which right now, honestly, it's probably the coolest time, because like I see everybody just like really, really working, and like
Yeah.
for the first time in a long time, like I see people like just like people are like proud to like work their ass off, and it's really cool to watch, 'cause I don't know.
Yeah, and there's so many bands out there too that like, and they might have been out there for years, but I never heard of them, and then now I just picked up a track on SoundCloud or Spotify
Yeah.
or something, and it's just like, what? And then you go deep, like,
Yeah.
And then you find out how long they've been in the game.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
absolutely insane. And then you're like, oh my god, I have all this music I
To
can
discover.
listen to, and then I'm
Yeah.
looking to see when I can go see them and stuff. It's super cool, and the ability to just on your phone be able to record, like anybody can do it. And now with all the electronic music and stuff, like
Yeah.
really anybody can be a musician, quote unquote,
Yeah.
and put their music out
Yeah.
there for the world to hear.
I know,
Yeah.
it's wild.
It's insane. Whereas like in high school, like I was before I got this, I was recording the podcast on my old Tascam
Oh my gosh.
4-track digital recorder that like had the SD card, like the big
Yeah.
SD card, and like I
It
couldn't.
was like blue, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yep.
Yeah.
And but like I could only record even the biggest SD card that I had. Like the podcast software could only hold like an hour on one track or
Oh my
something.
gosh.
So yeah, it was
We've
it
come
was
a long way
impossible.
really fast.
I know.
It's crazy. Yeah, the internet's only like e-commerce is like 20 years old or so. So it's
Yep.
like insane.
Yeah, it's wild.
Now you're running your own online music business
From your cell phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild. I hate it and I love it, and I hate it.
Yeah.
And how is it been going? So it seems like you guys have since your humble beginnings here at Vendor Coffee, it seems like you have grown and the gigs have gotten bigger. Like we mentioned, you guys playing the Philadelphia Folk Festival this past summer.
Yeah.
How was that experience, and how has the touring life changed?
All right, so Folk Fest was awesome.
I think I was trying to get you up there last year too, right?
Yeah, and well, so I remember like knowing about Folk Fest, and like when we first started out, we were kind of like just playing like we would play like original shows in Philly a lot, and we were kind of like spreading them out, because we were still working on like our original set and like how we wanted to like really put it out there, and we like took our time, because like I didn't want to jump the gun in like trying to almost, like, for me it felt like almost selling an unfinished product. And for the first time, like this past year and a half, like I feel like we have like our product now, and like now like it's time to like put in the work to like get some bigger gigs. So like I remember knowing about like Folk Song Society, and like just watching bands that are a step ahead of us and how they're doing things, and led me to some of the stuff like with Folk Song Society and Folk Fest, and like so I remember we went and did one of their open mics, and then we got selected to host like a music co-op night, and then It kind of escalated from there. We just kind of stayed like kind of annoying them, like, hey, like, hey, we're right here, like,
Yeah.
Because we're also outside of Philadelphia a little
Yeah.
bit, so we have to put a little more extra, like, you know,
Sure.
because nobody knows about Atlantic
Right.
City, and
Right.
a little
we
bit off
have
the
to
map.
go like
We have to go to Philly.
Yep.
That's it.
and
So true. It's sad,
especially
but
in
true.
our like in our genre, like, there's no folk scene here, unfortunately.
Right.
And, yeah, so we went to Philly, and then like we were trying to get our names out there, and then I remember they'd emailed me, but it went to it. They didn't email. We didn't know we were playing Folk Fest until like a month before,
Oh wow.
and they had emailed us back in May, and we had no idea. And then the flyer came out, and we saw our name on it, and I was like, "Wait a minute, what?"
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, and I like, because I submitted us, and we just never heard anything. I thought we'd never heard anything back,
Sure.
and yeah. So I saw our name on the flyer. I was like, "Oh, we're playing Folk Fest." And like,
That was super cool.
yeah. But at the time, we finally got linked up with So Far Sounds, and we were doing like a Northeast run in the spring to support like our single, and do you know about So Far?
No.
Oh, that's so cool.
It's it's their whole idea is to bring intimate shows into random places.
Nice.
And like, so basically there's 3 acts a night. You pick a like if we're going to Philly, you go on SoFar's website and you pick a date that you want to go see a show. You don't know who you're going to see.
Oh wow.
So
It's all different genres too.
Okay.
you get a ticket, and then
They give you the secret. It's a secret location.
Wow.
until like the day of,
Mm-hmm.
and then they send you the location, and you show up, and their whole like concept is to like sit down and listen, and like, so like basically like there'll be like, we played it in New York, and they shut down like part of the Chelsea market, and
Oh,
like
wow.
100 people come in, set up a blanket, and like sit down and like,
BYOB, a lot of
Wow.
them
and like
are.
everybody
That's
sits there
crazy.
and like to listen to music and be
Mm-hmm.
quiet, and like actually they're here like there to like hear music.
I love that.
It's yeah.
That's super
It's
cool.
like a listening room, and it's cool because like for us, like we started by playing covers in bars.
Yeah.
And like where like people don't shut up, and like people aren't there to hear music. They're
Right.
there to like
Watch football.
drink, watch football,
Mm-hmm.
and like have background music.
Yep.
And so yeah, it's refreshing to like go to a place and like actually like play music to people that like.
Are there just to hear music.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so we linked up with them. We did a couple shows. We played New York and Boston through So Far. We had a couple other dates between, and then we came back, and then we found out we were doing Folk Fest, and we've kind of just been like expanding and just trying to like book some more stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
That's great. And you mentioned playing Nashville. How far has Originaire gone from Atlantic City?
we were in Florida like as Ken Shiles and Savone.
Mm-hmm.
Like we did like an independent tour like very early on.
Nice.
We've been up to like Boston and Nashville, and
That's great.
yeah, trying to get around as strategically as possible, and that's the whole thing. Because like touring with a purpose, and like not just touring to like go play shows,
Yep.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
And that was something I had to like learn, like doing it like tours with intention, and like to be supporting something while you're on the road. Because if not, you're just like you're like, hey, we're here. I
Yeah.
don't know what we're doing here, but we're here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And like, so it was a learning curve.
If the like financial side of it was like unlimited, like yeah, that would be
Yeah,
great.
we'd be on the road all
the time,
year.
Sure.
playing, spreading the word. But like
Yeah.
you know, when you're self-funded, you have to put some thought behind like where you're
yeah.
going, and when you're going, and why you're going.
Absolutely. Yeah, and how much it's going to cost you to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a 5-year-old, and I can't just like up and leave whenever I want. So I have to like really plan strategically, and like for me it's a challenge because it's like I would love to just be on the road all the time, but like I also have to be a dad, and like I also but we make
Yeah.
it work. We've
And you also have to have another job too, right? Like, unfortunately, you can't do just music full time, right,
I mean,
guys?
no,
We're pretty close
Yeah,
to.
Are you? That's awesome.
Yeah.
Great.
we got lucky with that, and I mean, I still am a carpenter like sometimes, but a lot for the past couple years
We've been able to do it where we don't have to get like
a day job.
Real
like
day jobs.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
a real locked in
That's
clock
awesome.
in day job.
Well, and like you said, like you guys play like hard rock is Ken Childs and
Yeah.
Saban,
Yeah.
like you guys do more.
so that's like our day job.
yeah, that's awesome.
The cover
And
thing.
that was going back to why we kind of like also switch names is because we also didn't want to get sucked into the cover band like label of
Yeah.
like, oh, we're Ken Child and Saban, we're gonna play covers for you. So like if you're coming to see Originaire, you're gonna go see original music, and like,
Right.
that's it's still like a learning curve for us, and marketing and figuring out when to use what, and it's been
Yeah.
it's a process. It's
Because then, like, sometimes you're like, well, maybe we should use our band name because we'll gain followers from that.
Okay.
You know,
but
like,
it's hard, and especially in this area, like there like especially from May to September, there's music everywhere, which is great. But
Yeah.
like we're playing Jimmy Buffett to like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Tourists.
Oh, totally.
and
Because you guys play that Hard Rock Beach Bar, and you play.
no, we
what?
play Council Oak and Hard
Oh,
Rock.
Council Oak.
But we
okay.
do like we'll be at Laguna, like,
Yeah.
and we do Cape May a lot, and there's a lot of people that like that's their band, like they're like, you know, certain bands, like if you're going to see Don't Call Me Francis, they're gonna play like awesome covers, and like they're gonna have people dancing and doing what they're, but like that's their thing, and
Yeah.
we didn't want to not limit ourselves, but just have that be our focus.
Sure.
We, like at the end of the day, we want to be original musicians. Like that's the end game, and we had to learn how to make it so we could be original musicians and be taken seriously in the music industry, because like yeah.
Absolutely, man. I mean, that's the dream, right?
Yeah,
I mean, like, you know, if
exactly.
that's what you want to do.
I just want to feed my kid and play
right.
some shows. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like I just want. I'm not trying to get rich.
I want
Right.
some, like, dental insurance.
There
you go.
So,
Yeah.
like, how do we get, we need, yeah.
You gotta
We
get
need
that
to figure that out.
musician insurance.
Yeah.
It's funny because a band I really like, a duo, the Milk Carton Kids.
Okay.
They're like one of my favorite acts, and they every year they put on this like sad song summer camp, where it's like a writing camp for
Okay.
like 3 days, where in the woods in New York,
Nice.
and they take over a campground and they do like all these writing workshops. But it's not cheap, and like, and it's funny because they posted something, and like I commented about like
I wish I wasn't broke.
yeah, I wish I wasn't broke, and then
They responded.
they responded, and like because they're gonna give out some scholarships.
Oh, cool.
Which is
They're like, they're like, we were broke too.
yeah,
Like,
we
oh, wow.
and they said
hang in
we've
there.
they said
Wow.
we've reached the level of a mid-level
Folk duo.
act
Yeah.
where like they're comfortable, like
Yeah.
they can
That's-
make a
yeah.
and like it's funny because like that's the goal. Like I'm not trying to get
Famous.
we're not
No.
trying
Yeah.
to be like, we just want to be able to do what we love and
Make a living off of it. Yeah.
yeah.
I think that's the thing that our generation kind of figured out, because like my job is I run a marketing company, but I run it from my house
Yep.
with my cousin, and you know, everybody who works with us is a friend.
Yeah.
Like, we're kind of like a fraternity,
Yeah.
like more than a company. You
Yeah.
know, it's like, and I just mean that because we're just like friends and just try to do cool stuff.
Yeah.
Like, we're
Yeah.
not- you know, it's like, and that's at the end of the day, like I feel like we care more about ourselves than we do sometimes about like the clients that we work for, because we're like, we want to make, like, sure, they want an awesome website, but we want to make the coolest website that we can possibly make,
Yes.
and like make ourselves super happy.
Yep.
And then
Yeah.
everybody wins. But yeah, it's like we're not driving Bentleys or
Yeah.
anything.
No,
you
and
know?
it
It's
it
like-
goes back to just being authentic too. Like
yeah,
we want to be authentic in what we do, and I don't
and
know.
be happy like doing it, going to work
Exactly.
and not not clocking in and hating yourself and like
Ye-
counting down the hours,
When-
because we've all had that job.
When she met me, I was in the carpenters union.
yeah,
I was waking up at like 4:30 every day, driving an hour and clocking in at 7, and going to swing a hammer, and I left because like I didn't see my life doing that. And I got super lucky that like when we met, we got super busy, and like I was able to leave my job and still pay my bills.
Yeah. But I think it's the hard work, like you guys were saying like before about musicians putting in the hard work.
Yeah.
And you guys are doing it with the singles, with the touring. So I want to talk about the market, because you mentioned marketing earlier and marketing yourselves. So the marketing of this album, there's a lot of boats with all your stuff, like off the ship, right? And I know that like you're a sailor, right?
Not really.
No, like,
I try.
Do you?
I bought a sailboat last year for $500,
That's amazing.
and I
You are living the dream. Like
I
you,
will-
you are, you're like a little bit longer hair away from like early Jimmy Buffett.
Yeah,
You know, it's
exactly.
Like, so just
Yep.
just a few hundred miles.
He lives the dream.
north.
Though.
Yeah.
Like, he just gets to do whatever he wants.
He
and-
does it warm in the warm weather.
Yeah. So, last year, when I moved to, there was an open, when I moved to the house I live at now, there was an open boat slip, and it came with the rent. Well, there wasn't originally an open boat slip, which we wrote a song called Burn the Boats that hasn't been released, and we wrote it while this 50-foot sailboat that
Was sinking.
was sinking in my backyard.
Oh wow.
Oh, that was awful.
Yeah, I know. This lady, I feel terrible. Like, she had this beautiful, like, 50-foot, like, sailboat that sailed around the world.
Wow.
And somebody forgot to winterize it right, and it froze and took on water, and now, like, it got ruined.
Oh man.
But, so then a boat slip opened up, and then I was like, yeah, I want to learn how to sail. Like, this looks awesome. And like there's some people, the one guy who has a sailboat, he kind of was like showing me like how to do certain things, and he plays guitar, and so like he'll always be in my backyard just playing guitar. And then the other guy, he runs charters, and it's funny because he also plays guitar, and I didn't know it until I was getting a guitar set up, and I saw this guitar there, and it was a Martin HD28, and I picked it up, and I was like, wow, man, this thing's awesome. And where I was getting my guitar set up, he's like, oh yeah, that's John Pope's. And I was like, oh no, wait, like, I was like, he sails, right? He's like, yeah. I was like, dude, that guy keeps his boat like at my house. I was like, I didn't know he played the guitar, and like and like this guitar is beautiful, and so ever since I've been like telling him I want his guitar. But yeah, so I was like looking online for a while, and like I become a very obsessive about things, and like
I'm the same way.
yeah, for the time being, like sailing was my my thing, and
There's been a couple of
there's
things
been
after
a
since
couple
then.
things, but yeah. So I bought a sailboat, and I've been trying to teach myself, and it's way hard.
It's hard as fuck.
Yeah, it's
It's way hard.
it's not.
Like I've only seen people sail, and I go like, why would anybody want to do
The
that?
first time I got the sails up was a nightmare. The first time I got the sails up without anybody like that knew how to sail was with my girlfriend and my daughter.
Oh my gosh.
man.
And I got the sail up, and I'm like, this is awesome. Like, we're cruising, like we're sailing, like. And then I realized, oh, we're coming really close to this bridge, like the Brigantine Bridge, because I live right near the inlet. And so then I was like, Rachel, you got to grab the wheel, like just keep it straight. I'm gonna drop the sail. So like real quick, I dropped the sail. Then I ran out of gas.
Oh no.
And
Under the bridge?
almost under the bridge.
On the Brigantine side?
Yeah, no, on the inlet side.
Oh,
but the
no.
wind and the tide was pushing me into the bridge. And
This
so-
sounds awful.
No, so
Right?
this is a, this
Why
is
does
a,
anybody want to sail?
awful. Yeah.
this is a wild story too. So then we run out of gas, and I'm like, what are we gonna do? I see my friend George, who I went to high school with, on his boat 200 yards away. My phone is dead. Somehow, I remember George's phone number, which I don't remember. I don't remember shit.
I don't
I have
even
the
know my
worst
boyfriend's
memory.
number. Yeah.
But somehow I had his number memorized. So I called it off my girlfriend's phone, and I said, "Hey, like, George, like, I'm the sailboat that's going towards the bridge. Can you come tow me?" And like, luckily, he answered on the second call, and like, or we would have ended up like probably on the bridge.
Amazing.
And he towed me back to my house, which is like right around the corner. But yeah, it was a nightmare. And like, so I've been kind of like, I have a little PTSD about that,
Sure.
about
Yeah.
taking the sailboat out by myself. But yeah, it was wild. So yes, I'm
Novice.
I'm not a sailor. We're not going to call me a sailor.
But there's a lot of you have a lot of boats.
There is
themed in the marketing.
It's not even just the CP either.
No,
it's like a general
theme for you guys.
And I don't know. I think it's because like my whole life, like I've just been drawn towards the ocean. I'm a surfer, like and that's what led me into everything else, like to do with the ocean, and like that's why I wanted to get into sailing and like living on the water. Like my dream was to live on the water, and I don't know how I got so lucky, like to be able to rent that place, and like it was just another coincidence that led me there. And I don't know, there's just something about the water that's always been like a calming thing for me, and it has come off in a lot of the songs I write, and they have like these nautical references, and like in this area, like we're lucky enough to live like in a beach town, to where like back in the day, everything was like based around the water, and like
yeah.
I don't know.
Ventnor was known for the Ventnor Boat Works, I think was what it's called.
Yeah.
It was like they made race boats
Exactly.
back in like
Yeah.
I think the 30s or something like that. And I think a lot of those boats were like rum runners in the during Prohibition and stuff.
like that's like where I live in Atlantic City. It's called Snug Harbor.
Oh yeah.
And like there's a lot of like history with the Prohibition era, like and like bootlegging, and like they had like one of the harbors like right over from us has the old, like you can pull your boat inside.
Yep.
And like to like hide out, and like
that's the one with the
right across from Gilcrest.
Yeah, and it's got the door, the red door.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah,
Yep.
where it's like there's no porch. My friend parks his boat at Sykes' house right next door to that.
Yeah.
So it's like I pass that boat or that house every time we take the boat in or out of the
Yeah.
slip, and it's like I tell my wife about that house all the time. But yeah,
It's so
apparently that
cool.
is like the one.
Yeah.
Or one of the ones, you know?
I think there's two of them there, right?
There is. They're side by side.
Crazy, man.
Yeah.
So cool. Yeah.
But I don't know. I just
I think like our next run of songs doesn't,
no,
except for the one song.
Yeah, it's though it'll always end up coming back to it, like no matter what, because you write like what you know, and like what you, and for me, like when I was a kid, like I wasn't born here, and like even as a kid, like my grandma like used to take me to the beach in the winter, and like to just go walk around and like collect shells, like, and I don't know, I've just always been drawn to the ocean, and like so when my parents got divorced, my mom kind of was like, ooh, like, she's like, what do you want to do? I'm like, what do you? I'm like, let's move to the beach. So she sold the house, and we moved here.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, and
It was a good decision, though.
Yeah.
but ever since, I mean, I don't know. I've just always been drawn to the ocean, and like it's just come off in our songs, and
And yeah, and like in all the single covers, it seems like, and like yeah, there's always pictures of you guys on the beach, or always like you know, half shipwrecked boats.
I think we're gonna go into the woods next.
There you go.
Maybe.
Pine
The
barrens.
Pineys, yeah.
maybe.
I have a vision for the woods.
Well,
That's awesome.
it's funny because like the artwork and all the pictures, all these sailboats like kept showing up, like wrecked, right like at Golden Nugget, like across from my house.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why are they here? And like, there's been like probably 5 or 6 different boats now. There's 4 there right now.
Wow.
Well, evidently,
It's
like,
so weird.
yeah, they were just showing up, and I thought they were getting washed in by the storms. Well, Golden Nugget was dumping them there when they wouldn't pay their boat slips.
Oh, my
which
God.
I later found out.
I didn't
That's
know that.
hilarious.
Yeah, I just found it out like 2 weeks ago.
That's hilarious.
So, but I saw these boats.
Wait,
and I
they
was-
just like let them go?
they would like tow them over there and just leave them there to open up the slip.
that's hilarious.
And then like being like in the area of Atlantic City, all the hardware got stripped off,
Yeah.
and like people cut holes in them, and like they basically like gutted these boats like as fast as possible.
Yeah.
But like I saw all these boats there, and I was like, we have to go like take some pictures here. And so originally Annie Hubs took a bunch of pictures of us, and we didn't know when to use it yet because we weren't releasing off the ship, so we held on to it
But we wanted to get
Okay,
the
nice.
pictures before they cleaned up the boats.
because
Right,
we didn't
yeah,
know how
yeah.
long they were going to last.
Well,
Yeah,
they're still there.
absolutely. No,
Well,
amazing.
no,
Some
not
of
that
them?
one.
No.
There's different ones there.
That's
And,
awesome.
That's so wild.
So just recently, when we like picked the name for the EP, I took my daughter back there and I gave her my iPhone and said, take a bunch of pictures, and let her take a bunch of pictures, and that ended up becoming the artwork
cover,
for
yeah.
Oh, that's
the,
awesome.
the actual EP.
Does she get a photo credit?
Yeah, she
Yeah.
will.
Awesome. Yeah,
But
you
it's
have
just
to.
it's just funny because like all these boats are there, and like I don't know, I'm just drawn to like there's something about sailboats for me, and like I don't know what it is.
Maybe you were a real sailor in your past
yeah.
life.
There you go.
And like just like lighthouses and stuff.
You
like,
look like a sailor right
I-
now. Like you definitely have it.
It's the hat.
The
Yeah,
hat,
it's the
the
hat.
hat, and the mustache,
Yeah.
man. It's like definitely.
I don't know, and it tied into like the song Off the Ship had its name years ago, and it just everything kind of worked out the way it was supposed to. And
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you guys, so it's set to release on February 21st.
Yep.
So that's great. So we got a little bit of time on that. And then are you going to tour? Are you going to play some shows to support this, like
we're
you were
doing
talking
some
about?
like one-offs, and then I think in May we'll probably we have some stuff in the works, but like we have a couple of things confirmed for so far. We'll be in New York on Valentine's Day,
Nice.
which I'm really stoked to be back at so far because they're always super fun shows. And
It's
like,
so fun just to be there and listen just to the other artists too.
Sure.
yeah,
Because the whole energy of these events is so cool.
It sounds really unique.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to
you
check it
definitely
out.
have to check
Yeah.
one out.
Yeah.
For sure.
Next time we play Philly, I'll remind you.
Yeah,
and-
please.
'cause, yeah, they're super cool.
That's great.
Yeah, and then we're doing
Then we're doing a release show at the Folk Song Society
Awesome.
in Philly, and
February 28th.
yeah, and I'm stoked because like one of my favorite bands is Jackson Pines, like that's
Right.
from the area, and I've been listening to them for a little bit, and like I always like really dug their stuff, and like was trying to work out a time to play, like to set up a show with them, and then we worked it out with Justin, and it just kind of everything fell into place.
That's awesome. And you're also playing with Jay Solomon,
Yeah.
who's great. I think I've seen him or heard him. I can't remember.
We saw him a few years ago. We were playing an open mic at World Cafe Live,
Okay.
and he was like under 18 at the time, and I was like, "Yo, this kid is awesome!" Like
So
and
talented,
I've
yeah.
just been watching him, like following him, like via social media, and like it's cool to watch him like grow, and like he's living in New York now, but he's still in Philly too. So he's gonna open the show, and like I'm stoked because like between like those two bands, they're doing their thing right now. So
Yeah.
it's cool to like all be on the same show.
That's awesome. And you
Yeah.
feel like you're repping Atlantic City a little bit when you're out there, like
Yeah,
in New
trying.
York and Philly,
Yeah, because like
and even further, like Nashville. You know,
Yeah.
like you ever get that when they're like Atlanta? You ever
Yeah,
get when
no.
you say Atlantic City and they're like Atlanta? No, not Georgia.
No, people know Jersey.
Really?
people know
Well,
Jersey,
people
but
know
they
Jersey.
think like they're like Atlantic City. Oh, like do you
Like-
play that Bruce Springsteen song? And like
Which is a great song.
it is.
It is.
It took me a while to get into Bruce Springsteen, and I'm finally starting to. As much as I don't want to admit it to my girlfriend and her parents because they're huge Bruce Springsteen fans. And,
Amazing.
and I was not for the longest time, and like, but as a
I'm
song,
still not.
Oh,
But I can respect
as a
him.
songwriter,
yeah.
he's awesome, and like it just took me a while to
But
like.
being here,
Yeah, everybody
that's
just
all
thinks,
everybody
like,
wants to hear.
I know.
It's like, we get it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, it's cool because people don't realize Atlantic City is a place.
Mhm.
They don't. They're like, oh, Atlantic City.
right.
It's like a tourist destination.
yeah.
And so we're trying to like bring folk music around and whatever, because we're not
Any
like-
music.
Yeah. So
Right?
it's
Like-
been cool.
Like, bring all of the music.
Yeah,
you
totally.
know? Like, bring it back.
Yeah, I was just telling her I was
Absolutely.
gonna try to like figure out something with So Far to maybe try to bring it to Atlantic City.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Just
I think
because
that
I
would be
like
really
their whole
cool.
concept, and I really like.
We could really use something like
Yeah.
that around here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, well, now Fish is coming to Atlantic City this summer, which for me is a little bit. It's the same weekend as the Philadelphia Folk Festival.
Oh, no way.
So yeah, you heard it here on the podcast that
Oh.
I already put in for my Fish tickets, and then I'll put in for my press pass for Fish, and then I'll figure it out. Yeah, it's serious business. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Split the weekend.
I might have to.
Yeah.
I might have to do like I don't know. I've been thinking about this so much.
I'm sure.
And it's
Yeah.
August. It's August 14th through the 16th, and we're sitting here in January, and I'm talking about. And
Wow.
I'm already going crazy, but I'm happy that Fish is coming back and like putting it on the map a little bit. Like,
Yeah, no, it was cool. I remember like Dave Matthews did their thing. They
That was
they were
awesome.
doing. I know, and I like to see the city trying to like come back in the right direction and like bring some bigger acts here, and like, not just in the casinos, because like the acts that come in the casinos, like I just saw Jason Isbell at Borgata,
nice.
and I didn't even know about it. Like nobody
Yeah.
like I felt like I didn't know about it until like last minute, like, and then we were playing a wedding, and like I was like, I'm gonna go by myself, and I went
Yeah.
and saw his acoustic show, and it was incredible. But like I feel like besides the casinos, like there's a lot of cool things to do. Like you can have some great shows here, and it looks like they're stepping in the right direction. And,
Yeah.
That
music box at the Borgata, I think, is my favorite venue in
Yeah.
the city
It's
right
great.
now. Now
Yeah.
that the House of Blues isn't around anymore, I think that's like my number
I
one.
know it is a great venue.
I've seen so many great concerts there. It's small. It's like, I feel like it
Yeah.
has it all. And the tickets are usually fairly cheap, like depending on who
Yeah.
you're going to go see, which is really cool.
I got lucky because I went by myself, and like I
You could
got
buy
like,
one.
Yeah, I was like
Yeah.
third row. So
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was like a last minute third row ticket, and I'm like, sweet.
Awesome.
So
Great. So anything else? The website is Originaire Music, where they can find you.
yeah.
Instagram is Originaire Music.
Yep.
What else?
Facebook is the same way.
Same. Are you guys on Twitter?
No, I don't.
No.
Social media. I hate social media.
We
for-
might have Twitter,
I think.
but we
You
don't
might-
use
yeah,
it.
I think
we
I-
might have one.
It
but
might be Originaire Music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we do, it would be that.
And
And
then-
we're on Spotify, Originaire Music,
Yep.
and all the streaming services.
And then you guys promote your individual social media pages at all?
Not really.
Not really. We'll
Um,
tag them, but
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I mean,
Savone,
I'm
you
just-
have a very sassy Instagram account. I just want to say, in the best possible way, it's very sassy.
Yeah.
It's great. I think
I try to just put things that like I relate to, and yeah.
I enjoy it.
my
I
personal
definitely-
Instagram is just my kid.
Yeah,
My kid, my dog, and waves.
yeah.
And, like, yeah.
You can't go wrong there,
Nope.
though. Yeah, that's right. You have a new dog in your life.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Otto.
What kind of dog is he?
He's a Bernese Mountain Dog and a Lab.
He's going to be a big boy, right?
He
He
is.
is a big boy.
And I'm very mad at him because he ate a pair of my sneakers this morning. So
Oh,
me and him are not
no.
on
Which
speak-
ones?
My like running shoes.
Oh,
He's been
bummer.
eating everybody's shoes, and it's been
puppy.
puppies.
Amazing.
And him and my daughter fight like brother and sister.
Amazing.
So it's been like when my daughter's at school or something, my dog is so good. But like when
So
she gets home,
He was nuts.
they like
right?
run circles around each other, and like they feed off each other, and like they just I don't know. It's wild.
Just got to take him to the beach and let him
Yeah.
let
Pretty
it out.
much. Exactly.
So anything else about the album that you guys want to mention? February 21st, Off the Ship EP by Originaire.
No,
No, if we'd love to hear everybody's feedback. You
Yeah.
know, like about what they think about it, and share it with their friends, and
yeah, and hopefully like people get the concept behind it. It was an unintentional concept, but all these songs fit together, and like it goes back to like that whole like just a kind of like a message of hope, and like for a while life sucked, but like things get better.
Mhm.
And,
Yeah, that's
I
it.
just hope somebody feels something when listening to this stuff.
Mhm.
And like that, if you feel something, awesome. We did
yeah,
our job.
yep.
Yeah, it's that whole, like you were saying, about getting deep with your music. Like,
Yeah.
that's the reason that you do it. It's because,
Yep.
like, yeah, you can write a cheesy love song, but,
Yeah.
like, are you going to feel it when you're singing it?
Yeah.
Like, and are you going to feel it when you're perperforming it live? Like, probably not as much as this stuff where you're
No.
really
We got some of that
singing from your
coming,
heart.
too.
Yeah,
though.
no, we do. I've been trying a different.
A little she and him action with a violin player.
I just saw she and him at for the Christmas show.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was cool.
that great?
Yeah.
I saw them years ago. 2010, I think, at Penn's Landing.
Wow.
The Festival Pier, yeah. I'm a big fan. Big Ed Mord fan.
I didn't really know too much of his stuff until recently, and some of his solo stuff is great.
That Transfiguration
Yeah.
of Vincent album is
I had no idea.
and he's got that track Duet for Guitars, I think, or Duet for Guitars Part 2.
He can
Just
and
blow
he can
your
play
mind.
guitar.
And he's with the engineering stuff. He gets he does reel to reel. He does a lot of stuff
Wow.
on tube amps, and he's very
Old school.
Yeah, traditional. Which you hear it in the recording. Like it
Yeah.
sounds rich and
Yeah.
maybe a little scratchy, but rich.
Great.
Yeah.
His character, yeah.
Yeah, my girlfriend's a huge Zoe Deschanel fan. So
Yeah,
she
she's great.
So then we went to the show, but yeah, it was fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I have a couple of silly questions that I will ask every guest.
Awesome.
Do you want to see who wants to go first? I'm going to ask you the same question. So Ken goes first.
All right.
What was the first album that you ever bought or received as a gift?
I think there was two of them, and I can't remember which one was first.
You can say them both. That's
Yeah,
okay.
my aunt got me Tom Petty's.
Greatest Hits?
No, one.
Damn the Torpedoes?
No, what? It's the. I remember what the cover looks like. It's brown.
Brown.
And it had wildflowers on it.
Oh. That's not called Wildflowers, is
Wallflowers.
Is
it?
it?
Wallflowers?
It might be.
We got the Google machine working.
Yeah, I gotta figure it out.
Internet provided by Ventnor Coffee.
And then the second one. Oh, yeah, it was wildflowers.
Nice.
Yeah, I just remember that that cover is like.
Yeah.
It was the
Yeah.
first. It was a CD. Because I remember I got a boombox for Christmas,
Nice.
and I
Nice.
also got Green Day Dookie,
Another good one.
and they were like
Very-
the first
very
two.
90s.
Yeah, exactly. It's like '93 probably, because I was young. Yeah. Wow.
That's awesome. How about you, Sabine?
I don't remember the order either, but it was either Selena,
Ooh.
Spice
wow.
Girls,
Nice. Spice up
and
your
then
life.
Christina Aguilera.
Nice.
The
There you
Spice
go.
Girl lollipops.
I do. I can literally taste it right now if I close my eyes. I was so obsessed with them. And then I had the Christina Aguilera CD, and then I had one of those mini disc players
Young
Oh,
John
yeah.
Mayer.
with
Sorry.
That's okay.
a mini
Oh,
disc
God.
player with the Robin and Christina Aguilera. Yeah, I was like a
Amazing.
I learned how to sing listening to pop.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's awesome.
I used to
Minidiscs
listen
were-
to the Spice Girls and the Backstreet Boys, and I learned how to harmonize from listening to a lot of that stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You can go to YouTube and Google
So-
YouTube Sabone, and she's singing some. There's some funny videos of her singing some old classics.
Amazing.
Gotta love the internet.
Yeah,
It never goes away.
yeah.
What was the first concert that you ever attended, Kevin?
Dave Matthews
Ken.
I just called you Kevin. Dave Matthews Band. Was
Yep.
that the thing that got you on a Dave Matthews Band?
Yeah, that's what started me playing music.
Wow.
Um,
Where? When? Hit me with all the details.
it was at this Tweeter Center was
Yeah.
whatever it's called now.
B&T.
BB&T.
Yeah.
It's changed so many
Pavilion,
times.
yeah.
I was like 13 or 12. My cousin took me, and
I remember those concerts.
Sitting on the lawn.
Yeah,
I didn't make it into a lot of them from the parking
Wow.
lot.
You weren't the only one.
no, and I remember. Yeah, that's what really got me going with playing. Like, my first band ever was a Dave Matthews cover band.
Oh, nice.
And like I learned all his songs from tabs, and
Yeah.
that's how I learned how to play guitar. And yeah,
I remember teaching myself how to play Satellite Oh, it's incredible. I
It
think it
hurts
was
my
like
hand. I
think
still
it was
play it every once in a while.
yeah, and my pinky always will like that.
Yeah.
I always have to reach on that one, and I think it was like a tab in Acoustic Guitar Magazine or something like that with an interview with him.
back
He
when
just-
they had like the acoustic guitar magazine.
and they had 5 songs that
Yup.
they would tab out, and like sometimes I would just get Guitar Magazine and just like play it on the acoustic, even though it was clearly an
and
electric
used to
song.
sell the books. Like you could buy the album books.
Yup. Oh,
of,
yeah.
Like music and like that's. I remember I bought the first album book was Dave Matthews and Tim Reynolds live at Lutheran College. and,
Wow.
like, it was like the tab book for that and like yeah, that's what started everything.
That's awesome. How about you, Sabine?
The first concert I ever went to was Aerosmith,
Nice.
or was it? It was either Aerosmith with Cheap Trick with my mom.
No
We were in
way.
the nosebleeds.
Wow.
And then it was like Backstreet Boys, like me calling Q102 like
Yeah.
every day trying to get tickets.
Speaking of, we just saw Backstreet Boys on the last day of the Philadelphia Folk Fest.
What?
It was interesting.
So
I'm
all right.
still a big fan, but it was
All right.
definitely
Because they were playing in Philly?
real quick,
real quick.
it was on the last day of the Folk Fest, and I had camped the whole weekend, so I was
Yeah.
burnt. I camped by myself, and like I was ready to take a shower. And her cousin bought her tickets to go, and
Because we went together when we were kids.
Okay, nice.
So
and
she wanted to bring me with
my
her.
girlfriend was like, I want to go see them, so she bought tickets, and so I ended up having to leave. I ended up leaving. I went and showered in her hotel room because I just needed to get a shower.
Yeah.
Like I felt so dirty at the end of the weekend. And
Fest will
it-
do that to you.
yeah, it was an experience. But yeah, so then I ended up sitting through a Backstreet Boys concert, and it was very depressing.
Depressing.
It was weird.
It was weird because they're older now. It's not exactly what you remember
yeah.
from when you were younger. It's like,
And I bet the crowd's interesting. I bet
Oh,
that's a
yeah.
real
Oh
interesting
my
crowd.
God.
Middle aged, like, because we're middle aged now.
Yeah. Oh, we are.
It's weird.
Yeah. We got 1 foot in the grave, 1 foot on the roller
Exactly.
skate. Man. You know?
So like, so you're seeing like everybody that's like around your age now, like with kids, like
getting drunk, like
Yeah,
jamming
yeah.
out to the Backstreet Boys.
Right? Because they got
I'm like,
a babysitter, like the kids are in
yeah.
college now or
Yes.
whatever. It's like
it was an experience.
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Yes.
So the last silly question that I have for you. Oh, wait, where was Aerosmith, by the way?
The Spectrum probably.
Probably, yeah.
Do you remember what? Oh, so it was Cheap Trick.
Cheap
That was
Trick.
my first concert. My first concert was not Backstreet Boys, Beach Boys in Atlantic City. That was really awesome.
That's
Sitting on the
that's a
stage.
good one.
Yeah.
Mike Love signed my ticket stub. That was pretty awesome. But Aerosmith was one of my first like concerts like without my
It was
parents
so
type of
loud.
thing. I saw them with Monster Magnet in
Oh,
like
wow.
97, 98 or 98. It was like back to back. I think it was 97, 98
Yeah.
and it was I saw them at the Spectrum and then I saw them at the Tweeter Center at BB&T. Different venues, but it was
Yeah.
oh man, love Aerosmith.
So good.
Still love Aerosmith.
Yeah, me too.
Last question, because I know that you have to run.
Yeah.
What's your favorite soundtrack from a movie or score if you're into that
God,
sort
this
of
is
thing?
such a good question.
I know.
Yeah.
One of them is Vanilla Sky.
Okay.
I don't know why. Like
Was that the
Radiohead, Everything in Its Right Place.
Yeah.
There's Bob Dylan's on it. The whole like that movie and the soundtrack, just like something about it. Jeff Buckley's on it.
Nice.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna leave it with that one.
Vanilla Sky. Awesome.
Yeah.
How about you, Savannah?
Garden State.
Ooh, that was
Oh,
a good one. I
jeez,
forgot
was
about
a
that
good
one.
The
It
Shins?
still holds its weight.
It
Oh,
does.
yes.
Like you can still
Yeah.
play that whole entire soundtrack, and everything
Absolutely.
is like,
Oh man.
Yeah.
I remember the Shins was the big one on that. I think maybe there might be a Nick Drake song on
yep,
there.
there is everything, and it's right. Or what's it called? What's the song he did on there?
Da-na-na-na-na-na. It's the one that
Only
starts
Living
out
Boy
with,
in New York.
Yup.
He did the cover of that. Yeah.
Oh man, there's so many good songs on
Yeah.
that. Wow, great. Every time I ask that question, I come up with a different answer. So
I was gonna
think-
say like a score because I do like I listen to like a lot of classical music and a lot of scores and stuff.
Yep.
I was gonna say Avatar has a great score if you've
Really?
ever listened. Yeah.
Wow, I love Avatar.
Yeah.
Great movie.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, guys, so thank you so much, Originaire, Sabone, Ken Shiles.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. This is
Absolutely.
great.
Off the ship, February 21st. Get it anywhere you listen to music.
Yep.
Let's do it again before Folk Fest this year.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. All right, thanks again, guys.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.